Welcome to the Mold Matters Podcast. Whether you are looking for help recovering from mold illness or just want to learn more about creating a safe environment for your family, this podcast is the place for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mold Matters Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, alongside Mike Adams. How's it going?
Great, Jerry. We have a new arrangement here, don't we?
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
It kind of makes me talk like, hey, man, everything's good.
You know, you want to be relaxed when you're talking about mold.
Yeah, you do.
There's enough tension that mold induces, so you got to just relax. Just have a casual conversation.
Yeah.
About, how mold's destroying people's lives,
Yeah. Don't get upset. We can take care of it for you. Everything's fine. Relax.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it. It's nice, and we have a great, I don't know if you call him interior designer, but someone who set us up.
No, he's good.
He is
really
professional.
Yeah,
and
he's good.
In like 10 minutes, he had this looking better than we've ever had it look. Yeah. So props to Derek.
Props. About the props.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't fall asleep today, Mike.
No, I won't.
I'll try not to. We're going to talk today about large homes and mold. And you and I have talked every time we, go to fix a large home, like a mold issue in a large home, we say we need to talk about this because
it's crazy.
There's some unique things about large homes that you almost would never think about, but which end up causing mold issues and just kind of some of our most nightmarish homes have been large homes. Wouldn't you say?
I can think of one just off the top of my head.
Okay.
Real big home right in the same town as our warehouse here, and they had a sprinkler that was hitting the side of the foundation. Foundation gets soaked. You know how the story goes. Once the foundation soaks, the water wicks into the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a very well-to-do family in our hometown, and big, beautiful, probably 8,000 square foot home. And he took me downstairs and showed me, and he had mushrooms growing out of the carpet.
Oh, okay.
And he said, Mike, we just don't come down here ever. So that's one of the problems with the big homes.
That is
maybe one of the main problems.
Yeah.
There's areas of those homes where people don't go.
Yeah, and I plan on sending this to some people who have big homes. So I don't intend to rag on anyone who has a big home.
No, I wish I could have a big home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reality is, oftentimes people have very large homes, but I'd say even up to 80% of the home they don't frequent regularly.
Yeah.
Especially if there's 3 floors, that basement or something.
They never go in there.
Or that wing, we never go over there. And if a water event happens in that half, in small homes, right? If it's a 1,200 square foot home, you're probably going to notice, right?
Well, I just all of a sudden just dawned on me also, a bigger home means there's more interior air for the smell to spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to hit you like like a lightning bolt when you walk in the front door, like it would on just a small 2-bedroom Rambler. Yeah.
So before we go to the next point, actually, let's talk about, the issue, and I'm surprised how often it happens where, even if it's your retirement home or something and you buy this big, nice home, which is nice, but, again, we're not going to walk up and down the stairs all the time just to go see what's in the guest rooms downstairs,
Right.
So by way of prevention, or at least how could someone, if they had a large home, how could they kind of mitigate that effect of like, I don't go in those rooms very much? I feel like the answer is very simple, but
well, yeah, they're gonna have to hire someone to walk through the home. That's really the only answer.
Yeah, you just gotta hire.
They've got money; they're fine. Just hire someone to walk through the house.
It's very simple. I just need you to come.
Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah, come by our house every few weeks. Could you just walk around?
Maybe shoot an infrared camera around for us. No. They need to. You need to frequent the rooms of your house.
Yeah, for your exercise one day, walk around your house
instead of jumping on the treadmill.
Well, and even still, even if you were to walk around, some of those water events you're not necessarily going to notice even visually. But
if you had your shoes on, also.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people all the time saying, I would have never known that flooring was wet,
Oh yeah.
except for I walked on it with just my socks.
Yeah.
My socks got wet.
So hire someone that'll take their shoes off.
Yeah.
When they walk
Yeah.
around the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really important. We'll get to
Or you can hire a bear.
a bear. Wait.
Yeah. Like just the animal, the bear.
Oh, yeah.
They have bare feet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. I missed you.
Brandon saw that coming, didn't he?
So we'll get to some of the other points later, but I do think depending on the size of the home, a lot of people with large homes, they will pay someone to at least come, change the filters, do some maintenance things every once in a while. So I do think at a bare minimum, if you have a maintenance guy that comes and changes your filters or whatever, I would definitely kind of say, hey, be on the lookout for any water issues and some of the other issues that we're going to bring up in this podcast. So one is just the sheer volume of the house. You don't see the house, the whole house. What are some other kind of cons of having a large home from a mold perspective?
You're going to have multiple furnaces or HVAC units, air conditioners.
Yeah.
And so I know, we don't have a big house, but we have a house that has 2 furnaces, and one runs a lot during the summer, and one hardly ever runs. What I guess what we'd call short cycles. Turns on just for a short time and then it's off.
Yeah,
that is prime candidate for condensation on those coils, because it gets cold enough to condensate, but it doesn't run long enough to dry
them off.
And so that's multiple HVAC units are an issue.
So tell me more about that though. So why is multiple HVAC units more prone to that than just one?
I think, I'm no HVAC expert, but I think what happens is if you just have a house with just one furnace, it's going to pretty much take care of itself, because it's going to have to work pretty hard.
Yeah.
If you have a house that has 2 or 3 or even 4 furnaces, there may be a furnace that hardly ever runs at all.
Yeah.
And that's where you run into trouble.
Yeah.
Just like same situation where people buy an oversized air conditioner.
Yeah.
That will cause mold almost every time, because it cools the house off so fast.
Yeah.
That it doesn't need to keep blowing and
drying off the coils.
Yeah, and you need that constant. You really want your air conditioner to cool off your home nice and slow.
Yeah. Not
instantly.
Yeah.
And then, keep the fan. A lot of HVAC guys say keep the fan on all the time, no matter what. But I'm not a big fan of that. But,
we need another. This house I was at yesterday was a big 8,000 square footer, 778, three levels.
Yeah.
They never even turn on their top one on each floor, one HVAC unit. They never even turn on their top one because.
So I'll tell you what that'll do. Is now you have no air movement up there.
Yeah.
And so your windows condensate.
Yep.
There's not enough air movement to dry things out. I've always said that same thing with an apartment complex. The third level of any apartment complex will more likely have mold than any of the other 2 levels.
Yeah.
Because they're being warmed from the apartments below them. And so you don't have any moving air, and moving air is what helps you keep your dew point temperature under control.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I checked all the windowsills on the top floor, dirty, moldy.
Yeah.
And then even, it was weird. As soon as we turned on that top unit, it didn't have a crazy strong musty smell, but instantly we were all like, it just felt icky.
Tell, huh? Yeah.
And I think it's because it doesn't run too often, because it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Like multiple HVAC systems introduces this idea of now these 3 systems have to kind of work in harmony and equilibrium,
right?
And that doesn't always happen,
right?
Let me add to that this maybe leads to our one of our other points. Often in these large homes, there's a custom element to everything, right?
Yeah, it's not a cookie cutter house.
Yeah, it's not a. I guess the pro to having a cookie cutter house is usually by the time it becomes a cookie cutter house, they've worked out a lot of the kinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they sell it to Ivory Homes or whoever.
And they
mass produce those.
Yeah.
But the custom, the kinks are being worked out in real time.
Sometimes even the changes to the architecture are being worked out during the building process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, sometimes there's funky nooks and crannies, and what I was thinking of is some of those nooks and crannies are not getting air,
Yeah.
You know, just because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what people wanted. But then all of a sudden, you know, I feel bad for general contractors that do those because they have about a million things to remember.
Yeah.
One teeny thing of which is like, make sure I get airflow everywhere.
Right.
And all these water issues.
Because in fact, we did this. My wife and I did this with the house we first had when we were raising our kids. There were 3 bedrooms upstairs. The 2 bedrooms on the north side were my son and my daughter's, and we thought, you know, it'd be cool is if there was a tunnel between the 2 closets.
Yeah.
So when they played, they could go back and forth between each other's.
Yeah.
Well, it was really cool. They loved it, but I think back now that was probably getting no airflow.
Yeah.
In that
cool.
actual tunnel.
Yeah, cool little spot. But
Yeah.
no airflow. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that custom deal. I've just seen it a lot where it got a little. The principles of moisture intrusion and such, you know, maybe weren't fully, you know, realized in the moment, thought through.
And then you have crazy roof lines.
Yeah.
You know, you got.
Yeah, that's true. Talk about that, because you have a kind of a funny story with that, didn't you?
Yeah. So years ago, when I first started getting into the mold world, I started to get to where I felt like I think I can tell a lot of homes have mold just by driving by. And mostly it's because of if you look at the roof lines and especially on larger custom homes, they have these gables, I guess I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, a smaller roof and then a larger roof above that, and then maybe another roof going north and south where the one original roof was going east and west, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can kind of see where, okay, that water's going to run off and it may end up all within just a 2-foot linear stretch of small gable.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no way that rain gutter, that 2-foot rain gutter is going to handle that a fourth of the water coming off that roof. So anyway, we had a neighbor, and I used to go out and mow the lawn, and I'd kind of look at, you know, you don't have anything to look at while you're mowing the lawn. So I used to look at their house, and I could tell they had water issues.
Yeah.
Because they had a number of those interesting gables and cutouts in their house.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool architecture, but I could tell that from the staining on the stucco, that there were some water issues, right? Well, flash forward another 5 years of living next to them, she starts getting really sick.
Yeah.
And I just called her out of the blue one day. I said, look, this is probably inappropriate for me to call you, but and I said, I think I know why you're sick. And she's like, tell me more, you know. And I said, well, and I told her what I did. I said, I can tell from the outside of your house that you probably have water intrusion in your home. Not to mention we lived in a cul-de-sac right next to them. That cul-de-sac had flooded with torrential rain a couple of times in the past. Yeah. So I knew they had water in the basement previously. And so I said, I think you have water issues in your home, and I think you have mold, and I think the mold is what's making you sick. Uh-huh. And she's like, wow. And I said, look, I'll come over and I'll treat your home at no charge. Just if you want to give us a good review or whatever, that'd be great. But I think I can help you. Yeah. She said, let me talk to my husband. She comes back and like a week later, and she said, he really doesn't want to do it. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. She said, he doesn't think mold is really an issue, and he doesn't want to take anything for free, and he just doesn't want to do it. So, okay, all right. Well, just know that the offer stands, you know. Yeah. And then maybe 6 months later, she called and she said, my husband's out of town for a week. Can we do it right now? I said, yeah, we'll come over and do it. But I did tell her, I said, you got to get the leaks fixed. Oh, let me back up a little bit. I said, do you think you have mold in your home? When I first told her. Yeah. And she said, well, we have a really musty smell in the basement. And my husband's constantly trying to Google, DIY fixes for a musty basement. Yeah. She said he'll actually put a crock pot in the basement and simmer onions to try to get rid of the musty smell. Yeah. Which that sounds terrible to me. But anyway, so she called and she said, he's out of town. Can we do it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Now, at this point, she looked really rough. She had no energy. Her house was a disaster. She didn't have any kids living at home anymore, but she just was sick. She was walking with a cane. Yeah. And we treated her house. It took a while, but within a couple of months, she started feeling better. She called my wife and myself and said, I want you guys to come over. She said, I just want to show you my house. Because she said, Mike, you saw my house, the condition it was in.
Yeah.
And she said, my kids are saying, Mom, what's got into you?
Yeah.
And she said, I have all this energy and whatnot. And so anyway, she started doing really well. And then,
That's great.
like I told him, you got to get the leaks fixed. They didn't. And then she started to fall back into it. And by then we had moved, and I kind of lost track of them. But yeah, it's those houses can be problematic.
So part of it was that complex gable system, roof system that
yeah, I could see how the entire fourth of the entire roof and the water coming off of that fourth of the roof was all draining towards between two different gables.
Yeah.
And so it was being cut down to about a 2-foot space. And I even feel like, because they had big trees in the front
2 foot, like gutter
linear space, yeah.
Of gutter.
Yeah, and there's no way that's going to handle that.
Yeah,
it's going to back up into the roof line or whatever. And then I think their gutters were clogged anyway. So they just had all kinds of issues. And then along with the torrential rain fall, we had a really high water level or water table in that neighborhood anyway. So yeah, it was just a house that was prone for mold.
Well, and what's funny is in talking about custom builds, even when the builder kind of is focusing on, all right, I'm going to try and make this, mold free.
It never works. I'm serious. It
works
never
the opposite.
It does.
Because they're I don't know. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I do know, I'm thinking of one house that you and I did maybe a year and a half ago where it was in the storage. It was a brand new house, mold all over in their cold storage corner. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
And the builder was like, he's like, I promise you, like, I triple tarred the foundation. I added an extra thing that makes it so water can't get in the foundation. Like, there's no way water's getting through the foundation into this underground storage. And then as you and I talked, I'm like, wait, so you put like 4 or 5 coats of different water sealants? And
I always say this, it's not a boat. It's not designed to be like a boat.
Yeah.
Right? It's not supposed to have water there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So if
nonetheless, and there were no vents in that underground storage either. So then it just became this sealed up, room. So he was really trying not to let water into the house.
Yeah, there was one in Virginia years ago that they had me come out and take a look at. It was the same kind of deal. It was a builder that specialized in mold-free construction. And I guess the weather report messed him up or something. But anyway, they got all the framing up, but hadn't dried in the roof with tar paper yet.
Yeah.
And this supposedly expensive home that was built to be mold-free just got drenched with water.
Yeah.
During the building process.
Yeah.
And they had problems from there on out.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to another point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It takes too long to build a big house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's a normal house build time? Like just a 2,000-3,000, maybe
9 months. Yeah.
So yeah, you get up to the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're definitely going to cross through. I mean, it depends where you live.
Yeah.
You're going to cross through a winter or a rainy season or whatever.
Yeah.
And depending on what stage of the home build you're in, when it's snowing and raining.
Yeah.
We actually get a decent amount of work here in Utah from some builders that build, custom homes that take a couple years.
Yeah. And
inevitably in the crawl space.
Yeah.
They're getting some mold by the time the house is being put together.
Yeah.
And
it just takes too long.
It just takes too long.
Yeah.
So if you are building a home, like a custom or a big home that's going to go a couple of years, I would definitely, and builders are typically aware of this, but you really have to keep your eye on, are they making sure when a big snow or rain comes that, things are properly covered.
It used to be paramount for a builder to keep track of that.
Yeah.
And I would say the last 20 years, they care way less about that.
Yeah.
They're just going to, as soon as the weather breaks, they're going to dig the foundation and start to frame.
Yeah.
You're going to go right through the rainy spring, and they don't seem to sweat it.
Yeah.
But it's a problem.
I know. So yeah, I think those are the big ones, but I wanted to bring up, because we were talking about scenarios where they're specifically trying to build the home mold free,
Right.
water free. You and I have kind of done some research on a guy named Ted Nugent and his wife who did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They lived
So she was very sensitive, right?
very
His
sick.
wife.
I think from a previous home in Michigan.
Yeah.
That was very moldy, and I think even was hospitalized and debilitating health issues. So they tore that house down and decided to move to Texas and build their dream home.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you and I talked and read, they basically tried to hire a builder who
Specialized in mold-free homes.
that was written into the contract. Like that he would guarantee no water issues would come into the home.
I have no idea how you can do that.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, even as good as you would think you are at that, I would be very hesitant to guarantee.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine how that story goes, did everything that he supposedly he did everything he knew how to keep water out of that house, and within a short amount of time, it's coming in the first level through the foundation.
They said they also had grading issues.
They have grading issues.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Water between the subfloor and the wood floor.
Yeah, they had water coming in from the outside, getting into the subfloor and the wood floor. They discovered mold within a short amount of time. So anyways, it
never fails.
It never
Seriously,
fails.
It never fails. It's almost like, I always think of it like basketball coaches.
Yeah.
Don't talk about free throws. Don't talk about, we need to get better at free throws. Because the more you talk about it, the more nervous people are about it.
Yeah.
And they don't make their free throws, right?
Yeah.
Just don't talk about it. Kind of the same with building a home to not have mold.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Just build the home as good, common,
Yeah.
methods that are tried and true.
Yes. Be very wary of a builder who says, I want to try something new.
Yeah. Yeah. Run.
I'm going to try this new idea.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I mean, we've talked about this last week or a week or two ago with Cheryl. ERVs.
Yeah.
And we're still figuring out if ERVs, which is the new thing in HVAC systems.
So yeah, just to tag on to that, the idea is, okay, with these, this is the way they market it. With these homes now that are so airtight,
Yeah.
and some builders even think the more airtight, the better it is for mold. Well, no, that's the opposite. The worse it is for mold because the house can't breathe. So when you do have any kind of water intrusion at all, it's never going to dry out quickly.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are marketed as, okay, if you have these really airtight homes, we bring in fresh air.
Yeah.
Well,
From the outside, fresh air.
fresh air through a tube
Yeah.
into a box.
Into a box that doesn't breathe very well.
Right.
Has moisture in it.
Right. And it has a thin sponge filter in it.
Yeah.
And then shoot that into your main air.
Yeah.
And you should be fine.
It should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's do a recap. Your wife told us we should do recaps, and I think she's right. Let's recap. Cons of large home, and then maybe if you know the fix or what you can do to mitigate it, say that too.
Okay. So
First one was just you don't go into most parts, a lot of the rooms in the house.
right. So
Mitigate that. You hire a guy
hire a guy or a bear
or a bear to go through without his shoes
without
on.
shoes. Yeah.
Okay. So
Just keep track of your home.
keep track of your home. So
Change your filters like you should.
yeah,
I mean, it's a pain to change 3 HVAC systems worth of filters, but it's got to be done.
yeah, keep track. Especially if you have multiple HVAC systems, you really got to keep track of all those. And the other thing is sometimes in those big homes, I'll frequently show up to the house and they don't know where all their systems are.
No, they don't.
They have no clue.
They're like, I think I have 3. No, I have 2. No, actually, I do have 3.
And then you find out they have 4.
Yeah. Right.
And one of those is sometimes in the attic.
Right.
They're like, we've never gone up there.
Never gone up there. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we kind of had one
We
of
did
those.
have one. Yeah, we did.
So recently. So I think, you got to be really careful if you have multiple HVAC systems. Have a guy come change them every few months. Make sure you change them. And then, I don't know if this is a good tip in this regard, but keep your thing on auto so that keep your fan on always.
Yeah. So it drives some people crazy. They're like, I can't stand the constant
airflow
or even the noise.
Of the thing on.
But I think a lot of HVAC experts will suggest just keep that fan on the whole time.
On.
For two reasons. One, it'll keep your air conditioning coils dried out.
Yeah.
For the other, it's every time you pass your air through a filter, you're filtering.
Yeah. So even if your HVAC, your thermostat says, there's auto and off, hot, off, cool. So anyways, even if your fan is on and then on the other button where you toggle, it says off, the fan will still run.
Yeah, if you turn it on.
If you turn it on.
Right.
On means always running.
Right. Auto means it's going to kick on whenever the thermostat says I'm cold or I'm hot.
I'm cold or I'm hot. So, yeah. So I think keeping that running might be a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay. We also talked about custom builds and just being careful.
Roof lines.
And...
You should never have staining on the outside of your house.
Yeah.
If you have staining from, water stains, something's up. And
do you remember that house we did several months ago in like not Holiday, but kind of southeast Salt Lake? It was kind of a castle, and we looked down and there's a big pool of water.
There was a reservoir.
There's they built kind of a big, I don't know, made of brick, and
it was a huge house.
It was beautiful. Yeah. It was almost like a big reservoir, empty cavern right next to the house.
It reminded me of the Beverly Hillbillies because I wanted to call it the cement pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rained. It kind of luckily rained the day we were there.
Yeah.
And we saw that thing just fill up. I mean, it's right against the house, and the water just started filling up at least a foot. Right against the house.
I still think it's bad, but the only thing I think we came away from that was below the level of the
lowest
floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but still, it's not.
Still, it's with that much, it probably is wicking in. And,
yeah.
And the gutters and things were.
Another thing, just real quick. I
Yeah.
don't mean to sidetrack or recap, but
yeah,
in that same house, they had jetted tubs in every bathroom.
You're right.
Every bedroom had their own bathroom. Every bathroom had its own jetted
tub, and every jetted tub had mold in it.
Every single one of them. Yeah, and the homeowner, bless her heart, she said, "I've been real worried about my kids because doctors think they have mold in their system. So I've told them not to run the jets in the jetted tubs.
Yeah.
Just take a tub." And I said, "Man, that's probably worse."
Yeah.
Because now the water's getting in there and not getting circulated to at least kind of get rinsed out a little bit. So, jetted tubs are terrible, and a lot of big homes have them.
Yeah. Okay, and then
so roof lines make stains on the outside of the house, and also grading.
Grading is a big one, especially those big houses are going to settle.
Right.
That grading is going to shift over time.
You have a lot of what do they call them, where the basement window has a big cutout area.
Yeah. The window wells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those will. Yeah, absolutely.
They'll fill up with water. So.
And then, and I will say, a lot of these people do hire maintenance guys, and if you do, I think you need to have him be looking out for some of these little things as he goes around and checks the filters. That's what I would do. And then the last one I was thinking is, or just recapping, new builds.
Yeah, if they have a new idea, don't do it.
New ideas, and then if they are going to build a home and it's going to cross through the winter, what do you think?
Well, I really think that they should start building here in the United States. I think they should ideally start in about May or June.
Mm-hmm.
Dig your foundation, and then you're going to have the hot summer dry months to get the framing up and get it at least the tar paper down.
Yeah.
On everything, and hopefully get most of the exterior taken care of.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And it's not always possible to plan this way, but if you can get the home from foundation to dry in during those non-rainy seasons, that is
June, July, August,
very ideal.
Yep.
So, anyways, I think that's a good recap, and I'm glad we could finally get that off our chest. We've been thinking about every time we go to a large home, we get frustrated because it's the other thing is it's so hard to find the mold in some of these big homes.
Yeah.
Because there's you find one, you're like, oh, we found it. And then
It's like, no, we
No.
found one of 20 places.
yeah,
where
we
there's
have one
problems.
where there's
Yeah.
probably 20 different
Yeah.
pockets of, many of them very serious mold
Yeah.
issues. And we've been fooled more than once thinking, oh, we figured it out.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, we figured it out.
Missed that one.
Nope. Oh, we
Yeah.
figured it out. And we've been back many times figuring it out. And
Yeah.
so I think that's why we started thinking, man, we gotta talk about these large homes and
Yeah.
some of the things people need to keep in mind. So
Yeah.
anyways, I think that's all from us. Until
Yeah,
next
that's great.
time.
Yeah. Good talking to you.
Yeah. See you next time.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Mold Matters podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more in-depth information on mold illness and recovery.